Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra, and we
Hey.
are back. Thank you for sticking around for coming back on with us on For the Culture. We're gonna get into some very interesting comments that Adam Schefter made, and some very interesting comments that Gil Brandt made over the weekend when they were talking about the death of Dwayne Haskins. And like you said, it's definitely going to be interesting. But before we get there, T, I definitely want to say thank you to all the people who have liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel. That's Locked On Sports Atlanta. And for those new people out there who haven't done so, we're going to ask that you do so. Go ahead and like and subscribe and follow us on all audio platforms. If you can't, don't have time to sit down and watch, go ahead and listen to us on every major platform, audio platform that you can think of. We're all on there. And like I said, for those who have done so, we really thank you. We appreciate you. Right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta is ATL Day One's podcast. I'm Jarvis. She's Tenitra. And we also have A to Z with Mark Zeno, Hitting Hard with John Chuckery. We just got a big old channel that has all the content and all the entertainment that you're going to need from a daily basis. But T, uh, obviously the death of Dwayne Haskins, he had got out of his car and for some reason he tried to cross the highway and he was hit by a dump truck over the weekend. He was pronounced dead. And then when the news broke, Adam Schefter tweeted out some of the things that probably you can say that was true about
Mm-hmm.
him as a player, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that when there's the news of that player dying, I don't think that matters, and I think that's kind of where a lot of people kind of got off when they saw the tweet from Adam Schefter over the
Yeah,
weekend with the news of Haskins' death.
agreed. And when you juxtapose the initial tweet from Adam Schefter, where he talks about the fact that Haskins was struggling as an NFL quarterback, and you juxtapose that, and he was hit by a car. So therefore, he died of no real choice of his own, if you will. Yes, he made the choice to get out of the car and cross that highway,
Right,
but he wasn't doing anything that was dark or deep seated or dealing with demons or anything like that. Colt
right,
Brennan, on the other hand, when you tweeted about his passing, someone who had battled addiction, so someone who had made a choice over and over to deal with his demons in that way, you shone the light on his amazing career during his collegiate days at the University of Hawaii. And you downplayed the fact that he was basically um, in a rehab center, and things just did not go well in that rehab center after that fifth month, and subsequently he overdosed. Now, when I say that, all I am stating is that I need you to put that same energy on Dwayne Haskins' passing that you put on Colt Brennan's passing. I need you to put that same grace on Dwayne that you put on Colt. And it reminds me of what we like to call, if I get the term correct, because I had to look it up again today, haven't been
right.
in corporate in a minute, it's really essentially inherent bias. And
Mm,
so it's what happens when we subconsciously make assumptions, or we subconsciously have thoughts in our minds that don't necessarily make us racist, don't necessarily make us uh, people who would have bias in like a discriminatory fashion,
right,
overtly or consciously, but it's playing in the back of your mind.
right.
So something triggered you that made you think that it was necessary for you to put that in the tweet about Haskins, but not so much about Colt Brennan. And that's not interesting, and that's not coincidental. That is something that plays, that bias that plays against that African American male, against that African American male athlete, that did not play when you cited the passing of a white quarterback, a white male athlete, if you will. So again, I'm not suggesting that Adam Schefter is racist, because when there's an inherent bias, that means that there could be a bias that comes from any direction, if you will.
Right.
But there is there that needs to be addressed and acknowledged, because Dwayne Haskins did not receive the grace that he deserved in your announcement versus what grace you gave to Colt Brennan.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, he felt for Cole Brennan, right? So he
Yes.
felt for him because I know a lot of people is trying, defend Adam Schefter, saying, he's a reporter, he has to be, objective and all that stuff. But you gave a clear example of when he wasn't objective. He didn't say, Cole Brennan failed as a quarterback in the NFL, and after that, his life kind of went on a downward spiral, and
Mhm.
that's it. He didn't do that. He
Right.
said, the guy was struggling. He was trying to get his life right and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, and thing like, and I kind of just came to me when you actually think about it. Think about Dwayne Haskins,
Hmm.
right? Like, what was his issue? Like, what was his real issue? Like,
Yeah.
really, what was his real issue? What was he
Right.
struggling with?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because was there drug addiction?
he
Was
was
there
struggling with
domestic
being
violence?
he was struggling living up to being a first round draft pick in the NFL as a quarterback, which is the
Yeah.
most high pressure, highest paid position
Yeah.
in all of the world of sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were struggling in that. And you know what? And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. There aren't even a lot of people that would be even positioned to struggle with that. So that needs
Right.
to be acknowledged too, as well.
Yeah.
So because Dwayne Haskins is a father, he's married, so
Husband.
he,
Yeah.
he's living that life. Like
Yeah.
he's at a very small percentage of people that get a chance to do, and that's playing in the NFL. Like there
Yeah.
are a lot. I had that dream. I had that dream to want to be playing in the NFL, and I wasn't able to accomplish that. But the fact that he's drafted in the first round, he was in the Heisman conversation. He
Hmm.
was and just being and he was trying to get his stuff together with Pittsburgh when he signed with the Steelers.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin even kind of talked to that and spoke to
Yeah.
that, and talked about the type of man he was. And
Hmm.
that's what frustrates me a lot because
Yeah.
you gave all of that to Colt Brennan, and you probably don't even know the man. But
Yes. Yes.
you know,
You made him human,
right,
and you
exactly. There
took
you go.
away with
Yeah,
that comment. You took away Dwayne Haskins' humanity.
right,
And the fact that you don't see the problem in that, and even the people who may be defending you, that's that blind spot that we have to be so careful of in society, in our American society, that we don't take a step back and say, now, wait now, because I will tell you, I did take a step back when I read that first tweet just to make sure that I was not jumping to conclusions
yeah,
or paranoid or being overly sensitive. But I didn't go down the rabbit hole as well, even
right,
after hearing, talk about this too, even after hearing portions of the Gil Brandt audio as it relates to Dwayne Haskins, which was even more damning. So we will talk about that before we
yes,
wrap up. But
Lord,
going back to Adam Schefter, it was a slow burn for me because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't jumping to conclusions. So I read that tweet and reread it, and I kept coming to the same conclusion about the inherent bias, the lack of grace, and the lack of humanity that was shown towards Dwayne. And then saw the tweet about Colt, and that confirmed for me, oh, there needs to be some conversation had, because again, it's the blind spot. And as we in a society, if we keep overlooking the blind spots, then you know what the blind spots end up being? The blind spots end up being 32 teams in the NFL and no black owners. 32 teams in the NFL and a handful of coaches, and some of those coaches don't get past a year because that inherent bias is
yep,
not giving them the opportunity to succeed.
right,
Versus I NBA, and I want to talk about this tomorrow, so I'm giving you guys a little bit of a tease. Juxtapose the NBA, and when we talk about coaching trees, the coaching trees actually come from people like Paul Silas, whose
yep,
son Steven Silas is now the head coach for the Rockets, because that coaching tree matters. A black man who was successful in the league now has his son coaching in the
right,
league.
mm-hmm,
That's because the NBA tackles and addresses those tough conversations and those hard conversations. And not to say that they're perfect with it, but they deal with it, as opposed to, this is the type of situation that, it's an NFL reporter, granted, but it speaks to that larger issue of the blind spots that if we don't acknowledge them, they keep rearing their heads in so many different ways.
Yeah, and I kind of want to kind of squeeze Gil Brandt. I know we can't go too much into it, but I think the overall theme of what we kind of what we're discussing, I think it's just a matter of Gil looks at Dwayne Haskins a certain way, and he doesn't look at him as a human being. Like we talked about, I think that's been overall theme here, that you dehumanize these brothers, these black players. You look at them as objects and you don't think they have feelings, and you report as such, and
Yeah.
you talk about them as such. So when these tragic situations comes about, it's it's the same old thing for you. It's like the sun coming up. Oh, well, he's living to be dead, or he should have stayed in school. Like, what does that have to do with the man passing
Yeah.
away?
Yeah.
Tragic.
What does that have?
24 years old. He left this world. That's what we're
Yes.
talking about. So I
Yeah.
think that if we can talk about this stuff and put it out there instead of try to defend these people,
Hmm.
and have a conversation, stop being scary. I think we can get to a point where you at least give, like you said, give that same grace that Adam Schefter gave to Colt Brennan when he passed away. Like, if we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
at least get to that point, even if it's
Mhm.
not genuine, even if it's part of being a professional, if I can be a
Yeah.
professional and have some type of, or guidelines, or lines not to cross in these particular situations, I'll be good with that. I'm not asking you to feel for another brother, another black man. I'm not asking you to do that. All I'm asking you to do is have some professionalism about yourself. Give that same, like you said, give that same grace that you gave to Cole Brennan.
Yeah. And Gil Brandt, don't get me wrong. He has done some things in support of African Americans
Yes, he is.
and African athletes over time. However, this kind of commentary that you felt that comfortable saying in the early stages of his family, his teammates, his fans. When I say, because I'm Steeler Nation, so he's a
Right.
part of Steelers, I'm a rock with him. Okay, so you didn't even give us a chance to process it before you literally went on a rant about a husband, a father, and an athlete who potentially within the right system, like the Steelers, because let's face it, the system with the Washington football team at the time he was with them
Ooh,
was not a good
it's
system for
not
any
favorable.
darn.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so let's be real. So let's
Yep.
not call him struggling until 4 or 5 years in, or 2 or 3 teams in, and now you've been in multiple systems and you still can't get it.
Mhm.
So yeah, we just again we're gonna leave it right there. But humanity, grace, as we want to receive it, we should give the same.
Yes. These are human beings we're dealing with, not toys and assets and people who are super athletic and run fast. Yeah. I know that's what part of what your job is to do, but they're human beings first. All right, y'all. We're gonna end it right there. This is ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. But make sure you come back and check us out. Like I said, like, follow, subscribe, all audio platforms. Like us on YouTube. Give us some comments. Give us some feedback. We'll really appreciate that. And coming up tomorrow, we'll see what the Braves can do with these Nationals teams, because I want to really see all these bats get going. At times they were able to do it, but I want to see all these bats get going, and we can see if that bullpen can get right, or the back end of it. That is,
Yeah.
we'll talk about all that tomorrow. And you got anything else for me, T?
Oh yeah, don't think we won't be talking WNBA draft when our Atlanta Dream have the number one pick tonight. So we will definitely get you guys a little peek into our reaction on the WNBA draft. Also, if we have any local players who end up being drafted, we'll hit you up and give you guys a little debrief on that as well. As you can see, I'm really excited about that because I think the Dream are going in the right direction.
Indeed. We'll do all of that tomorrow on ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and T. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
See ya.